Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Living Electric. We've got an exciting show today. We are recapping Fully Charged live. Both Brandon and I were there in San Diego and just got back to Ohio, so we figured we'd share each of our experiences from the show, what we learned, who we talked with, all that fun stuff. So Brandon was there with Chargeway, so he got to see the show kind of from the exhibitor's perspective, chatting with a lot of the attendees and sharing about what Chargeway is doing. And I got to attend kind of as an attendee, I guess, checking out the different booths, test driving some vehicles. So we figured we'd break some of that down for those that weren't able to attend. So
yes, and stay tuned for the end of this episode because we are announcing a giveaway. So definitely stay tuned for more information on that.
Yes. You have to listen through the whole show, though. You can't skip ahead or else it'll be muted.
No.
So.
Nope, exactly. and there will be no, what's the term when there's like a shout out or a time, what's it called? Like a time mark or something like. Yes, timestamp, time mark. Yeah. Close enough.
Yeah, we might throw it in the middle of the episode. You don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. But there will be no timestamp in the show notes. So
Exactly.
Yep, you'll have to stick around and listen to us for who knows how long this will take. So, But yeah, no, I think overall the event was a lot of fun. I miss California already. I feel like every time, I get there and just like get a chance to experience like what that culture is like and just like how beautiful it is. It was humid. Yeah. I mean, the first day we got to walk through the rain.
Or uncharacteristically humid in San Diego because it was like 80 plus degrees and raining and humid, which I've heard, like I haven't visited San Diego but once. So
yeah,
I heard that is not the norm.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everybody who I talked to is just like, this is not normal for San Diego. And
right.
I guess there was a hurricane that hit Mexico and like San Diego was starting to get some of like the aftermath with like the rain. And
right.
Thankfully it dried up by the time the conference started. But yeah, I mean, Fully Charged Live, it's such a cool event. If you guys aren't familiar with Fully Charged Live, technically the YouTube channel is called Fully Charged Show, and the host is Robert Llewellyn, and it's based out of the UK, but they're mainly focused on sustainability and electric vehicles, and they have conferences essentially all over the world now.
Yeah.
And I think this was the second one in the US because the first one was in 2019, and then COVID happened.
Right.
And then so they pushed it out. But overall, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool to get a chance to experience it.
Definitely. Yeah, I heard some remarks from like the Fully Charged team and some others that it was almost kind of like their first show in a way.
Oh yeah.
Because they were still like they had 2 years off of trying to put the show on. So just getting the word out and telling people it's happening and all that kind of stuff was didn't hold them back, but like it was a hurdle, I guess, initially kind of getting it up and running. And it was very well attended, I will say that, but I think they were still like expecting even more people to be there just because of how big the movement has grown even in this short time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that was like the part that like the main takeaway for me, I feel like I'm already summarizing this and we're just getting to the beginning of this, was just how excited everybody who attended was, excited for electric vehicles. Like there was no pushback from any of the conversations I had regarding EVs.
Right.
It was essentially either people who owned EVs, people who are EV fanatics, enthusiasts, other educators, influencers, or people who are shopping.
Yeah.
And, who are looking for their new vehicle. And to me, that was super exciting because you got the whole gamut of people who are just all about electric cars.
Right. The only disagreements I heard were never about like EV or not EV. It was like, how do we do this the best way? Which is like a marked improvement over where the discussion was 5 years ago. It was like deciding if EVs are going to happen or not. But now it's like, all right, they're here. Let's make sure we do all this stuff right. So that was really nice to see, for sure.
And actually, I feel like that leads into a question I have for you later on, because with you getting a chance to attend and, walk around the whole conference and sit through panels, I agree with you that seemed, or that, man, I am struggling tonight. That appeared to be the hot topic for the weekend is how do we do this right moving forward?
Yeah.
So I want to hear your thoughts as like an attendee, some of the things you got to experience, because you spent a lot of time with Tyler this weekend, and I felt like I didn't see him, I don't even know, like 3 times. He just walked in together and he was just gone.
Yep.
So,
yep.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot to see and do. So I think I was there attending not only as a media personnel, but also like with my new company, kind of telling people about what Nudo does and what what I'm now working on in the EV space. So kind of wearing two hats to the show, but there was a lot to cover. If you did want to get any content done, it was like, for those that don't know, like if you have a media pass, you can usually get into the shows early, or they even sometimes have a separate media day for these big events so that there's not just a bunch of random people walking around. So Tyler and I, like when we got to the show initially, it was like run around for a half hour before all the attendees got there, get as much video as we could, and then like chill and then kind of walk around the rest of the day and watch some panels and stuff. But yeah, there was just so much to see, and trying to cover all that was definitely a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys had to take advantage of both days, especially like once the show opened up and like attendees like arrived, because I know for some of the other, you know, content producers and content makers I spoke with, it seemed like the moment the general public was there, it was hard getting the B-roll and to, you know, wait in line to experience a vehicle and not have a lot of time. So,
right.
Yeah. So I'm curious, out of like, you know, with being like an attendee, what was like one of your favorite things to see and like experience there? Because like there was like that mini test track with like the electric scooters, right? The scooters, the one wheelers, the skateboards, and the bikes. Yeah, I have
a love-hate relationship with the test track. So I thought it was a great idea to have like they called it I think micro mobility or mini mobility test track or something like that. Basically, electric skateboards, scooters, bikes, all that kind of stuff. Really cool that there's something like that there. I think that's a big part. I know I've been talking about on my channel. We've talked about on a previous podcast. Brandon's got a Hemingway e-bike now that he's testing out. So
shout out to Alex.
So I think that's absolutely needs to be a part of the electric discussion, and I don't think is getting as much attention as it should. But really cool that they had that there. So I did test ride, I guess, a bunch of the bikes and stuff that were there. But before I did any bikes, I rode an electric skateboard, and I think it was eSkate San Diego that was there with their whole gigantic fleet of eSkate stuff. So I walked up and like, hey, are you letting people test ride these? Is it cool if I ride one? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, which one do you want? Or like, I'm like, I don't really know. I haven't done this a ton before. So I've skateboarded before, but I was thinking back and I'm like, I don't think I've ever actually electric skateboarded before. I'd ridden, obviously bikes and electric scooters and stuff, but I don't think ridden an electric skateboard. So they said, do you have an experience skateboarding? I'm like, yes, I've skateboarded before. And they're like, okay, like how much do you weigh just so we can get the right board for you? And I'm like, I weighed like 200 pounds or something. So they're like, yeah, this board will be perfect for you. So I get on it and it's like, it's not a like branded skateboard. It is a like hand-built skateboard that somebody had put together.
Wow.
So, which was really neat. Like that's something I want to do eventually, is like build my own e-skateboard. I think that'd be neat. But I got on it and they showed me how to use it, did like one loop around the track, and then I got to a straightaway and it was like, okay, let's push it a little bit, see how fast it can go, because there was like a small straightaway. As soon as I did that, the board like shot out from under me.
Oh no.
I flipped backwards. And luckily just landed on my butt. I didn't like scrape myself up or anything like that.
but still, that was was it a hard fall?
It wasn't too bad, and luckily like I had like skateboarded before, so I kind of knew how to fall properly. Like there's a right and wrong way to fall, if that makes any sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So luckily I just kind of like fell back on my butt, and it wasn't like I had hurt myself or anything. But kind of like jarring at first because I was not expecting it. Like it happened so fast. But luckily, I mean, I got back up just fine. Did a couple more loops, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a little like 6-hour break from the track for a little bit.
6-hour break.
I don't think I test rode anything the rest of the day. But yeah, that part was cool. But then the next day I rode some other bikes and got to check that stuff out. But that track, I think they need to like either put carpet down or something down because it was slick. Like there were people falling all day.
Yeah.
Just going around normal corners at a normal speed. It wasn't like they were like pushing it and like slipped and fell or something. That track was just slick. So besides falling off of a skateboard, I saw people like fall off bikes. Like that never happens. So
yeah, I saw that too. It's like the rider took like a turn and it was just like a normal, angle and it just like slid out from under them.
So
yeah.
I think that's something they probably need to look into next year. But
yes. Yeah.
But cool that they had that. I don't want to like give it a bad name or anything. I think that's a good idea and a cool thing. So
I give you credit because I don't have the balance for any of that. Like I look at the one-wheelers, I'm like, that's cool, but I'm like, I know I would die on it.
Right.
So
yeah. But yeah, that part was neat. In terms of like actual cars I saw at the show, I think all of just the unique EVs I saw. So like Aptera was there. I had never seen that in person. I had heard about it, but hadn't actually seen the physical vehicle. It legit looks like a spaceship. It doesn't even look like a car. So they were there. I got to test drive the Electromechanic Solo. Tyler did that one as well. We got featured on their social pages. So if you follow them, you've probably seen both of us on there. And so that was neat. Like that's a very unique vehicle. I haven't driven anything like that before. So like anytime I get to experience something new like that, I think that's really cool. So those two definitely stuck out. But then there was some other like weird vehicles there. Like Canoe was there. Archimoto that we got to ride earlier in the year was there. So lots of just unique EVs that weren't just normal cars. I think that was definitely the highlight for me.
Oh, that's awesome. And what about panels? Because like I know throughout the weekend, like a bunch of our friends, other EV enthusiasts, educators, and like, influencers got the opportunity to like talk in front of like the attendees and like, like present. I think there was like a plethora of like information. It was all the way from like data to simplifying EV charging. Shout out to Matt Teskey from Chargeway. All these shout outs in these episodes, to like the importance of like representation and like the women being in the EV industry and pushing the EV industry forward.
Right.
So like the ones that you got a chance to sit through, could you like summarize some of that for the audience as well as me, since I didn't leave my booth?
Yeah, there was right. Well, your booth was kind of near one of the panels. Could you even hear what they were saying? I'm sure you were so busy. So.
It was all white noise. Like okay. I tried to listen to it, but it's just like when there's background music and you're talking to somebody, you don't hear a single one of the words.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of awesome panels, and like I said earlier, the discussion has shifted from are EVs a good idea to what is the best way to do EVs, what's the best way to do charging, what's the best way to educate people about charging, all of this stuff. And I think one of the more interesting panels I sat on that was like kind of heated, but kind of not, like it was just very good discussion in general. Nick from Orange Charger was on one of the panels with who was it? I'm trying to think of who was on it. It was him and somebody else, but it was basically kind of the like fast charging versus slow charging discussion of what is the best way to do this. And I think there's competing camps around the industry of like obviously people have vested interests in each. So a lot of people think, we just need like a crazy amount of super high powered charging. That's what's going to convince everybody to get an EV is like easy access to really fast charging. Whereas there's another camp that's like, no, we actually just need a lot of really simple level 2 or even level 1 chargers in just a lot of places where there is already electricity that we can just tap into and charge cars overnight while people are sleeping. And there's very much two competing camps of like, what do we need to invest the most money in? But yeah, Nick was kind of making that point. It's like fast charging is expensive. It's complicated. It's like, it just takes a lot of effort to put in. Whereas like their product, the level 1 charger and, their stuff is super easy to implement. It's meant to be like easily accessible and easy to implement and all this stuff. And it's like, we've got these easy solutions that don't take a lot of change on the the site host or whoever is hosting this charging side of things. And we just really need to be more open to that versus like, oh, this shiny new thing that like is this exciting, fast, super like gas type experience. So
yeah, that's I mean, you brought up a good point. Like, they're not to mention, like, you know, I guess that could actually be an episode we should do. We should get Nick and Joseph back from Orange Charger on the show and like talk about the slow versus fast charging, because like, yeah, the Orange Charger to install would save like a site host an immense amount of money compared to even just a level 2.
Yeah,
like, even like a connected level 2, or even like a like non-network, you know, or like a non-connected, you know, charger. It would save them a ton of money. Yeah. And if the car is just sitting there, why do you need the fast charge? So,
yeah,
you know, so there's situations for everything.
Right. That seemed to be kind of the theme of everything. And I mean, we saw Electrify America come out with the like ultra fast and super fast charging, which we had discussions about all weekend, I think.
All weekend.
Opinions on that.
Yes, I feel triggered from that.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, I think that's definitely seems to be kind of the next discussion in the industry is like, are we going to put a ton of fast chargers, or are we going to like actually do this the right way, in my opinion, and the smart way,
yes,
and invest in reliable, simple level 2 charging. So yeah, that seemed to be where the conversation has shifted. There was also some talk about wireless charging, which like I'm not crazy about. Just from an engineering and like physics point of view, it doesn't always make a ton of sense. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite things is that like when I did get like, actually I think I had one opportunity to like actually leave the booth besides using the bathroom. I don't want it to seem like I didn't like leave the booth at all, but like was getting a chance to like walk around and like see the other booths and just seeing like the spectrum of like what the booths offered, you know, like it was everything from like content producers to software solutions, you know, to charging solutions and just everything in between, you know, to manufacturers, everything.
Right.
Like, I think that was the one thing that I really wish there was more of a presence of. And even, you know, like Robert and Dan Caesar from Fully Charged, you know, the joint CEOs, there was such a lack in participation from like the OEMs and like the auto manufacturers where I wish that there was a bigger presence there. But I thought it gave the startups and like the newer companies a chance to shine, in my opinion. Like, I think that was such a great aspect of it, but still it would have been good for the attendees to see everything available.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point, and I'm actually going to go back to our Living Electric census. I don't think we even discussed this in the pre-show, but we got some really good. We got some really good responses on there. 13 people responded, which is awesome. Thank you so much if you did put a response in. But I've noticed like a lot of the. I think I've mentioned this on past shows, but the sentiment from people in general is they're going out and seeking knowledge, looking to make a purchase decision. And just like you described, is like, I'm sure, I don't know what I would wager to guess, probably 50% of the people there, if they didn't already own an EV, they were going to the show to check out what EVs were out there and experience them in person. It's a good way to just see everything, like just cast a wide net. You can look on the internet all you want till you actually go sit in an EV, see it in person, any car for that matter. That really gives you a good feel of like what it would be like to own and how that could fit into your life. And I saw that on our census too. A couple people responded with their like kind of our open ask, and a couple of people said, yeah, I love listening to the show to hear different people's perspectives on the car they drive. Like, we both drive Model 3s, but I'm sure they've loved hearing about like what your ID4 experience was like, your upcoming car experience is going to be like. So there's I think just sharing that, I feel like, is almost more valuable than some of this other stuff, because that's really what people are looking for now. They want to know what a specific car is like to own and drive and be like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually something now that like my gears are turning in my head with like how like the show it was almost like the show worked in reverse in my opinion. Like like I when you get to test out a vehicle, you get to see if that works for your life. But like with EVs, there's a different layer to it. Like you don't have the gas station experience anymore.
Right.
You have to figure out the charging experience and how that works at home versus out in public. And I felt like this show gave a good view into what it's like to own an EV, but not necessarily to shop for an EV. And I think that that's definitely where I wish that the OEMs would have jumped on the opportunity, because when I at the Chargeway booth, people ask me, "Oh, is that the only Lightning in the in the conference center? Is Hyundai, Kia, Rivian, like all these manufacturers, are they there?" And I was like, there's a car over there. I'm not sure if it's open, but
Yeah, Fully Charged legit sent out an email like a week before the show saying, hey, if you're in the area and want to display your car at the show, let us know because we're looking for XYZ vehicle. So we did have a great display of a wide variety of vehicles there. All of those were personally owned. They were not from OEMs. So that, like you said, I think that's a little bit disappointing that they couldn't at least send one person and one car to the show in San Diego of all places. It's not like we're in Iowa or something. No offense to Iowa, but we're not in like a super low populated area where they wouldn't have a car. So
And the only thing I could think of is that like the Detroit Auto Show literally started yesterday for press. So like, and it's going into like, like the show time. So like, I'm not sure if like due to like inventory and like, supply chain restrictions, maybe those vehicles needed to be in Detroit. Maybe that's how it worked out. But I just, it's kind of interesting now that I think of it, is that that's kind of how the show worked. It worked in reverse in how like the discussion typically happened.
That's a great point. Yeah. Cause this kind of shifts gears to you too. This was definitely the most pro EV show I had been to. I've been to some other shows that were like, oh yeah, we're investing in EVs, but it was like, do you really care about it, or is that just like your new business plan? So this one, it like seemed truly like everybody there cared about it and really wanted to be there and be a part of it. So I'm curious from the Chargeway perspective. I know I asked both you and Matt. You said this was easily the most like positive response you've heard.
Yes.
I'm curious if there's any like specific examples of that where you've like really somebody had a positive response to what you were doing and what you're developing.
Yeah. So, I mean, like first off, like it was definitely by far the most successful show that we've had so far. I mean, like this was my first major EV conference. I know Matt has done some in the past, but we got so many new downloads, either pre-show, because Chargeway was the technology partner for the entire show. So we had advertisements set out to all the pre-sold attendees and like to, the other exhibitors. But what was so cool is the fact that people like came up and they would scan it right in front of us and be like, I downloaded your app. And I'm like, let's do a demo so you know what to do, or like, what we're about. So, but the fact that like people would just simply come up, and I saw countless people just scan the QR code, fill it out, and then just like, walk away.
Wow.
And like,
That's awesome.
or we had people who have been using Chargeway for years come up and be like, I love what you guys are doing. This is the direction the industry needs to go. Let's do this.
That's awesome.
So that was really cool. But I think the most impressive thing that happened, I had multiple conversations with people who were either part of like other EV associations in different states, come up to me and be like, I typically recommend PlugShare to my users, or like to not my users, but like to my members.
Yeah.
Like this is typically what we introduce people to look for charging stations. I've heard of Chargeway, but let's do a review, or let's do an overview. And by the time they walked away, almost every single one of them said, I'm going to start recommending you guys over PlugShare. Yeah. And I was like, cool. Like, nice. That's great. Like, here's my card. If a member has a question, have them reach out to me.
Right.
But from like an exhibitor, it was a lot of fun. Like, it just, just the sheer excitement from people who have been driving EVs. Like, I talked to somebody who's been driving an EV for 12 years. Typically uses PlugShare, and after I explained everything to him, he now uses Chargeway. Versus awesome. Like somebody who, Nikki from Transport Evolve recommend come over to our booth, who's shopping for an EV, who had, just like very, new, very green to everything, did a walkthrough, and she's like, this makes it so much easier to understand than what I was already researching.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So it was a good show
Yeah.
from an exhibitor perspective.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it was interesting too, and Matt made a comment about this when he was on his panel. He was like, we are talking to like a sold audience here, like is the way he phrased it, I believe, where it's like everybody here is sold on EVs already. It's like any like feedback or anything we hear, we kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because everybody already kind of knows what they're doing. And I think Chargeway in a lot of ways is focused on the new EV driver, the person that is still figuring things out, that also doesn't maybe care about all of the fancy terms and advanced stuff that you currently, I feel like you need to know as an EV driver and understand that you absolutely shouldn't need to. So I think that's really cool that you still got that response even to this sort of audience that maybe is more set in their ways in the EV way, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the reason why, it related, or people could relate to it who have been driving EVs for years, is that they're tired of the term level 3. Like level 3 fast charging. It's that, as I was going through like our timer feature on the app, as I said, that's literally for some vehicles a 3-hour charge time, which is not fast at all. And if it can charge at a green 7, that's like a 15 to 25 minute charge. Right. So like there's a lot when it comes to fast charging. And like after I explained it that way, they're like, oh my God, you're totally right. Like just because it's a fast charger does not mean it's a fast charge.
Right.
So
Exactly.
So it was a good time. I mean, I think Matt and I might have said like this, we talked so much that like by the time we got back to our Airbnb, we're like, what? Like our voice was so gone.
Oh
but
my gosh.
Yeah. No, it was a good time. And I think that the cool thing is that like watching Tyler go off on his own, because typically him and I do a lot of things together, when it comes to like recording, and like seeing him go off on his own and do things on his own and produce his own style of content versus what we could do together was really cool to see too. I just wish I would have seen you guys more often, because like I felt like both of you guys were just like gone, and then like 5 hours later it's like, hey, bye guys.
Right. Yeah.
So, but
I think we still got a lot of good time to hang out and chat though. Like that was almost,
for sure.
I don't want to put down the show at all, but I think hanging out after the show with everybody that we are closer with was like a lot of fun, and just getting to meet everybody in person, chat with people, have some non-EV discussions even, because I think we were all kind of burnt out talking about it by some of the evenings. That was really good, just getting to meet everybody. So
yeah. I guess we should probably do like a quick summary of like what we did Friday night, because there was a charity event that we went to at the San Diego Auto Museum. Yes. Yeah. Where it was called Talk About an EV Party. I think that's what it was called. It was like unlimited tacos and drinks, and like we got a chance to get like a private experience with the auto museum there. But all the funding went to a education program for kids to learn about electric vehicles and EV conversions and how to build battery packs and stuff like that. Which was
EV. I think it's EV Learning Center or something like that, I think is what they call it. EVLC.
I think so. Yeah,
we'll have to link their stuff, because they had a lot of. It sounds like they have a really cool team, like doing really neat stuff for people that want to learn about that. So which is great for kids to learn about that. STEM is like, or science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM for short. I like to leave the M out, because that's not, I'm not good at that. Well, I guess engineering, so maybe just ST. But anyways, it's cool for the kids to like get involved with that, especially to learn in depth what it takes to build and service an electric vehicle, because when they grow up, that's essentially, that could be all they experience. The majority of them might never have to pump gas, because they'll just be driving an EV. Yeah, it's like learning how to take care of like a steam vehicle in in like the early whatever, and like those are being developed, and those like aren't a thing anymore. So yeah, you're right. I thought the coolest part of that event was the deconstructed EV they had laid out on that table. they basically took all of the major components. I mean, it was from a working conversion car, right? It was some vehicle that they had converted to electric, and the vehicle got in a crash, I think. So they basically tore out all of the components of it and put it out on this, like, essentially education board so that they could point and say, yeah, there's the inverter, there's where the battery pack gets plugged in, there's the main battery controller, like all of these parts and pieces. And you see, it literally fits on like a desk.
Yeah.
That's all the parts you need to run an EV besides the big battery pack, obviously. But all of the like main components, it's super simple compared to if you had a big engine block sitting on on your table, and a big transmission and differential and all this stuff. Like, there's all of this stuff that really isn't like a thing in EVs, and it's cool seeing how simple it is when you really see the skeleton of it and what's actually needed. So
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And I love that, like, you know, when you could like bid on like different like prizes to like give more money back to the charity, they had like little Tesla battery cells that you could purchase. So like you could say that like you had a Tesla cell or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, like, it was just like from a exposure experience to like, you know, learn more about the industry and like, you know, talk with people who are excited about where we're going. It was just such a great weekend, you know, and I'm excited for future events.
Definitely.
But the one part I do want to talk about, because like I feel like sometimes from, you know, in the beginning days of Living Electric, we talked a lot about like our content, and obviously, you know, our content is really, you know, essentially what brought us to this point, you know, with what we're doing with either like Chargeway or Nudo, or, you know, with attending these events. When we were there, you know, we did get a chance to meet one of our listeners. Just want to give a shout out to Eric. I'm so bad with names, and this is so embarrassing because every person who I met that recognized me, I'd be like, username, what's your username? And I'm like, oh my God, I know you. Like,
right.
So I just want to apologize to anybody that I met who I didn't recognize you from like your photo or like your name.
Right.
Just sometimes that's how it works.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah, I met Eric. I got a chance to chat with Eric, and I met some other person that watches my YouTube channel. I can't remember their name though, but yeah, appreciate them stopping and saying hi. So
yes,
that was cool.
I appreciate that too. And I got a selfie with one of our YouTube subscribers. So
awesome, nice.
Yeah. So shout out to well, I don't want to say her name, but you know, shout out if you're listening. I really appreciated that. It was fun getting a chance to meet, you know, our supporters and people who have really, you know, brought us to this point. So thank you guys. It means a lot. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And then I just want to talk about like all the content producers who were there as well. Want to give them shout outs. Because I mean, it was almost like a reunion from the EV Media Summit that we did in December.
Right.
You know, Misco Electric had her own booth, which was really cool.
That was really neat, yeah.
That was really cool. She did a giveaway of an electric bike live from the show, which was pretty cool. And then Liv and Patrick from the Mach E vlog, got a chance to see them again, hang out with them. Ryan from the Kilowatts, got to see Will from F the Pump, which was really cool.
Yep.
Marty from Southern California Tesla Club, which is huge, and she's doing great things with that organization. Right. Ken from EV Revolution Show, want to give a shout out for Ken for being on our show and for being a booth across from us.
Definitely.
I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Kyle Connor from Out of Spec was there.
Blake Check, I don't think you mentioned him yet.
Yes, yeah. The one, the only Blake Check, which we're going to get him on the next episode to talk about his YouTube channel, as well as talking about Fully Charged Live. Super excited to get Blake on our show. Love Blake. He's like my twin, so Blake's awesome.
I'm trying to think of any other content people that were there.
Jess Kirsch was there.
Yeah, she was there too.
Jess Kirsch.
Yeah, gosh, there were a lot of people there, honestly.
Yes, yeah.
It was overwhelming, like trying to keep track of everybody. I was gonna say I don't think we mentioned the Indy EV was there.
Oh,
the Indy
yes.
One.
Yes.
Which we got to see in person. We had their head designer on one of the earlier Living Electric episodes. But we got to see the physical car in person and see it drive around, which was neat, and talk with their team. So that was cool meeting them.
Yeah. got a chance to meet Michael from the indie team.
Yes.
So that was really cool. I did. Now that Blake and I are relatively internet famous from his thumbnail, I really want to collaborate with Indy next time we're in Los Angeles to do a Living Electric podcast in the Indy one. Because
be cool.
I was talking to their marketing rep, John, who was there, and he was saying that they actually have ports now for microphones that you can connect and do professional audio directly in the car.
It's funny, the more I had to work from my car today because it was in the shop. We can talk about that in another episode.
Getting the battery replaced, right? No, I'm just kidding. EV misconception.
Those dang batteries, yeah. I had to go to the Duracell store and the whole thing, but yeah, anytime I work out of my car, I'm like, I wish some of this stuff was freaking built into the car. We've got like this giant battery here. I'm like plugging my laptop into my USB port to like keep it charged and like all this stuff. So yeah, my car is like not that comfortable to sit in and work on a laptop. Also because I'm like really tall, so getting my arms like around stuff to get work done is sometimes a struggle. But yeah,
that is. We could do a whole episode on EV ownership. I think we need to do that with like the vehicles we've had for a long time.
Yeah,
because that is one thing as we're getting more press cars and more experience with other vehicles. There's some limitations with the Model 3 that I hope that Tesla improves in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah. I thought the Indy was really cool. I hope that we can experience more things with them because I know they've been a major supporter of Living Electric, and I really can't wait to see them build that vehicle. So it'd be really cool to see that on the road.
Definitely.
Yep.
Well, anything else, or you want to wrap up? Or what do you think?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the giveaway?
No, I think we should wait like 10 minutes and then do it.
Like just 10 minutes of like awkward silence?
Just silence for 10 minutes so nobody can skip ahead.
You just hear Harvey in the background, like just heavy breathing.
He's excited about the giveaway.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we are doing a giveaway and Alex is going to present what we're giving away. He's not ready.
I don't know if we should leave that in or not.
No, I think we should because you took your headphones off. You didn't hear what I said. I said, and he's not ready.
Perfect.
Yes.
Get some ASMR.
Ooh, yes. Everybody who's driving with their audio super loud is probably like, oh my god.
Right. R.I.P. headphones users.
Yep.
All right. So you're gonna announce them as I show them.
Yes. So we are giving away some Chargeway swag. And if you guys aren't familiar with Chargeway, they are my employer. And Chargeway is simplifying the way that electric fuel is utilized by using a color and number system. Color represents plug type, number represents the power output of the specific charger. So we are giving away an awesome Chargeway t-shirt and an awesome Chargeway water bottle. Yes. So all you have to do in order to submit now I'm like, I was on a roll with this. All you have to do in order to submit this giveaway is utilize the Google form that we'll send out on our social pages. Oh, nice folding job. That's great. Is submit a screenshot of Chargeway active on your mobile app. More ASMR. So pretty much, I'm getting so tongue-tied here. Everyone's going to stop listening.
I'm not distracting you, am I?
Not at all. All you have to do is upload a screenshot of Chargeway live and active on your mobile app. We're available on iOS and Android. And then follow Chargeway on either Twitter or on Facebook and upload a screenshot of that showing that you follow Chargeway. And then we will announce the giveaway in a few episodes, or the winner of the giveaway in a few episodes. So we'll get that out as soon as possible.
Definitely. Yeah, so thanks to Chargeway for giving us some free swag. Thanks for talking to Matt and really convincing him. It's a really hard sell.
Yes, it was.
Give us some stuff. But definitely check out Chargeway. That's what I use for, like, not just because Brandon is the co-host here. Like, I use Chargeway for route planning and for finding chargers. Like, that's literally what I use. So definitely recommended. But we'll have that Google form link down below. We'll have links to download the Chargeway app, all that stuff in the show notes.
Yes, definitely. Cool. Well, I think that's that wraps up our summary of Fully Charged Live and the little ASMR show that we just had.
Yep. Yeah, if you were at the show or chatted with us at all, definitely reach out to us and say hi or reconnect or whatever else. But yeah, we'll be back next week with Blake Check, right?
Yes. Yeah. I can't wait to have Blake on. It'll be a fun episode. Yeah.
It will be fun. Cool. We'll talk to you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye. I almost waved, like, bye.